and we're trying to sit there and prove to the captain that, hey, we can do this thing called out to sea. You got new sailors, you got old ones, whatever. So finally, after these 3 or 4 days of fast cruise, you're allowed to go on Liberty back home, and then you just turn right into a workup cycle. Workup cycle is where the ship has to prove to the Navy that it's capable of fighting a war. Now, one of the things you'll do is you'll sit there and say, okay, we did a little maintenance to the structure, can it still float? So we go and prove it can float. Can they still recover aircraft? So the next step is, hey, we'll take 2 or 3 aircraft, see if the flight deck's ready for them. Then we'll launch them, see if the catapults can do it. But then you got to train the air wing, right? Joel, you're out there somewhere, right? There you're, way back there, all right? So you got to train the air wing. Got to make sure that they can land every 60 seconds. That's 2 miles apart, going 150 knots. You sit there and make sure that they're still capable of listening to instructions, make sure we're still capable of giving instructions. So you do this, and now that you've proven to the Navy that, hey, we're a sea-capable ship, now you got to sit there and worry about the entire battle group. The battle group is not just a carrier. You like to think it is, but it's not. You have the submarines who are out there doing defense. You got the little DDGs launching missiles. You have the amphib carriers carrying all the Marines over. So you have a lot of stuff going on in this battle group that you have to prove as a battle group that you guys are capable of fighting this war so you can go relieve your watch on time. This is called JTFX. It's a Joint Task Force exercise. They do it every 3 or 4 months on the east and the west coast, out just off the water on the Pacific and the Atlantic. And what you do is a simulated fight. The Navy loves simulation. It's the cheapest way to prove that you can do something. Okay? So what they do with the simulated fight on the east coast, they call it the Carnesians. I don't know what they call it on the west coast. I'm assuming the same thing. This kind of came out the ring at the same time as Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So there's a little tie in there. Everybody thinks we're fighting Kim Kardashian down there. But so we fight the simulated war, and I'll tell you, it's hard to find somebody that's not there. I'm telling you that right now. They got enemy subs out there that are hiding from us. They got enemy ships, and they got imaginary dogfights that go on out there. We probably look pretty funny to the regular person, but we're out there fighting simulated fights, simulated wars, and eventually when we're done doing this for 6 to 8 weeks, sacrifice, we come back home. We just won the war. However, it's simulated. So we're back home. Now we're just waiting for a phone call. And at this phone call can happen anytime. For the Truman last year, it happened May 20th. We were told that we will be doing 7 months in the deployment, or 7 months in the Arabian Sea for deployment, in which we'll be away from friends and family. Yeah, we get to see some pretty neat things, but still, you know, you miss some of the things back home. The birth of your baby, the death of somebody in the family, somebody going to kindergarten first time, different things you give up out there, sacrifice. So now we transit the Atlantic, go through the Mediterranean, get to see the good old insurance rock out there, the Rock of Gibraltar, Prudential. Then you go through the Suez Canal, and then now we're on station out in the Arabian Gulf. The theme out there is still 9/11. We haven't forgotten. Out there, every entry point and exit point, every operating area is called something. Pennsylvania, New York, DC, Towers North, Tower South, Pentagon, etc., etc. We have not forgotten why we're there. Upon arrival, we relieved the Eisenhower, another carrier, and day 1, we started right in. We went to 18-hour days, 8 events, 10 to 16 aircraft each event. And what we did there was we would launch an aircraft. We launched a set of 10 to 16 early, first thing in the morning. They would launch, go on their mission. Hour and a half later, we get the second set ready for launch as the other set is coming back in for recovery. So if you saw the ship, and we'll give a little demonstration, Joel, I think, will help out a little bit on that one. We'll give a little demonstration what happens, but pretty much you put the ship right in the middle, 20 miles back aft, or to the backside. You have aircraft starting to stack up 6,000 and on as we're launching. As soon as that last aircraft launches, the first aircraft hits the deck roughly. And then from there, every 1 minute, you'll have aircraft launching 60 seconds. To launch or to land that aircraft takes quite an evolution. It takes a lot of people, probably about as many people as you have in here, it takes to land one aircraft. So you see there's room for error. And of course, when error happens, you have the pilots, the air traffic controllers, and the flight deck all ready to, we already have a game plan for that if something happens. So we're out there for 5 months doing this on a daily basis. We get one random day so that the terrorists don't know when we stop flying. But we get one random day for maintenance and for resting. Normally happens every 8 to 9 days. Then you just start it back up again and you move on. So after our 5 months of doing this, around the Thanksgiving time frame, the Harry S. Truman moved up to the Persian Gulf, or up into the Gulf. We got to hit a nice port, Bahrain, Dubai. You guys hear about it, but it's hot. So we spent our Thanksgiving meal on the ship. Again, some of the sacrifice that you'll see. And at that time, we were actually, a little neat fact was, while we were launching the aircraft, we were actually supporting my cousin Pat. Where'd you go, Pat? Okay, right over here. Pat was over in country at the time, and cousin Nick was sending the aircraft over, sending Bob, Joel, and his family over to go protect people like Pat. So I kind of thought that was a little bit of a neat tie from the Easton area. And I actually did have the pleasure of working with Ray's older son, Bob Brown Horse, on the Truman for a while before. Didn't hit deployment together, but he made colonel, moved on, and has his own command now, and I'm still in the Truman, but I have to leave Abraham a little bit. So let's see. So when we come out of the Gulf, we go back to the Arabian Sea, start to finish up some of the operations, Enduring Freedom, New Dawn, and then we do turnover with the Lincoln. It's a pretty good feeling, you know you're about to go home, but home's not tomorrow. You still got another 5 month or another 1 month transit back home, and on the way you hit some pretty neat ports. Ports don't mean nowhere near as much as they do on the way in as they do on the way out, because all you can think about is home, home, home. So December 20th, we get home. I don't know how to describe it, but pretty good feeling coming home after 7 months and seeing your friends and family. Something that made this year a little bit more important to me this past year was the fact that I made chief. That's the uniform I'm wearing today. But one of the significant reasons why I came here today to do this particularly was 23 years ago, my father gave the exact same speech in the same uniform. So if you would have asked me last year, Grandpa, to do it, I wouldn't have done it. So just saying, I had to be a chief first. So those are a huge honor. And from here on out, it's just little story times, and then Joel and I'll give you a little demo of what it looks like for air traffic control. I got pretty much 3 stories that I got to tell. This year when I made chief, it's each 7. You change your uniform, you change your responsibility, you kind of move up to the next level of supervised. You're no longer responsible for what you do, you're responsible for everybody else. So you get yelled at for things that you woke up to. So I sat there when I found out I made it. It was exactly my 13-year mark in the Navy, and I found out I made 2 phone calls. 2 phone calls. Okay? You sit there and think about all the people you want to call when you make it, but you really don't have much time from the time you make it until they start to fun with you. So you have a quick window, and I made 2 phone calls. And these 2 phone calls, I look back and I don't know really why I called them, but maybe it's just they're the same 2 numbers that been the same numbers since Alexander Bell made the telephone, or what? I'm not sure. But Grandpa's and my dad's, they've been. Yeah, you got the same number for the longest now. But anyways, so I called my dad and told him, I knew he'd be, pretty proud. My father's retired master chief and my mother's a retired senior chief, so they understood what it meant. I called my grandpa and I was kind of expecting, I got patted on the back for riding a 2-wheeler more than I did for making chief. And chief just seemed to be harder to make than riding 2 wheels. But anyways, so I made chief and I called him up, and I'm over in the Arabian Sea somewhere, and it's a delayed phone call, and I don't know what time it was here, but I called him like, Grandpa made chief. Good. Okay, maybe the delay, maybe I got cut off. I was like, Grandpa made chief. Good. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, okay. All he could respond to with that was, now you can give the speech in Delavan. I'm like, or in English, I'm sorry. And I'm like, speech? I made chief, that's something that, So I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And sure, whatever can go a far way with this guy. So I'll tell you that right now. So I sit there and start my initiation process of chief, and I get back up and I check the emails from my dad. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's giving me some advice. Nope. He calls and says, you told Grandpa you get this speech in Easton? I'm like, yeah, of course, why not? He goes, you're going to have to do it now. And I was like, yeah, whatever. the morning, that's September, May, you know, sure, okay, gotcha. So I get home, December 20th, same thing. I get home, I call Grandpa, and all I keep saying, got your speech ready? So that was one of my stories right there for the whole, he's not thrilled at all about the fact I made speech. He's just happy I'm here to give this speech. I guess that was really pretty much it. I already told the story about my dad doing the 23 years ago deal, and then I guess another important thing, Denny, you fall on this one wherever you're at. Where you at, Denny?
He's over there.
I remember he gave the same speech. I wasn't here for it, but I did watch it on video. And I remember he kept talking about watching the underwear, watching underwear. And I'm like, what are you talking about watching underwear? I never watched underwear one day in my life. But, you know, after listening to the speech and then going on deployment, you hear these kids cry about like, oh man, I gotta go stand the balls of four. Or I gotta go stand this watch. And blah, I'm like, hey, someone's gotta watch the underwear, okay? Get out there. They don't know what it means, but I do. So I'm the chief, so that's all that. All right, so this last little part here that I kind of dedicated to people that I knew was going to be here, it's almost not fair because there's so many more people here that are active duty that, you know, it just fathomed, it blows me out of the water exactly the military and the, I don't know what you call it, the patriotism that you get from this southern Minnesota. It's pretty impressive. Just to let you guys know that you guys are heard. People out in the, or that I'm stationed with, they kind of want to feedback when I get back. They want to see things because they're pretty impressed that they understand that patriotism is all throughout the world. They understand that. They understand that the country, you know, we're happy and proud to be Americans. But when I told them the kind of things that you guys do here, you know, you guys are heard. The area trimmer wants to know what is going on here. So I got video and film and stuff to take back there, but they did tell me to send thanks, and they really do appreciate it. So again, I was going to recognize some of the local military, but there's a lot more military in here than I really expected to be here. So I really appreciate you guys coming back. And just open up to anybody that has questions. You're more than welcome to approach me at any time and ask me questions. I'll try to fill in what I can and can't. And then, of course, I'm sure, you know, my cousin and Joel, and we got Air Force and some Army back there. You know, we're more than willing to tell you a story if you guys want to hear it, you know. So, again, thank you for your time. I'd like to give a little demo. Joel, just a standard. During those 5 months of the deployment, what you're about to hear, something it's something that happens, you know, you have the 16 aircraft times the 8 events, you know, do the math, it happens every night, and then there's all sorts of things that can go wrong, and we're ready for it. Oh, you can stay right there. This is fine where he's at. Well, he'll check in from out Marshall. But pretty much what will happen is we'll sit there before the ship's ready for recovery. We've got to position ourselves in an area where the ship can go straight for a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because that's how long it takes to recover about 16 aircraft. So we got to set up for it first and get the winds right, because the pilots need winds. What you'll hear is me as a controller, I'll talk to the bridge who drives the ship, and I'll say, hey, what are we heading? And everything's magnetic compass, so we'll just say in this scenario, hey, we're headed 360. Okay, that's due north. So say right ahead in 360. Plug it into our system. We're ready to rock and roll. We call the boss, who's getting ready to launch everybody on the flight deck. He's responsible for those guys. He's got 16 lined up, ready to launch. So say, hey, at what time are you going to be done with your launch? When can you recover the first aircraft? So we'll go on the hour. So 0 is